Hey everybody, how you doing? So we're back with another video, and today I'm going to share with you one of the most powerful concepts in leadership that you could fully comprehend. By applying this to your life and spot checking it, it'll make such an impact and it'll raise your awareness of why you are where you are. And it's from John Maxwell. He's got a lot of great books. I highly recommend any John Maxwell book. He's very big on leadership. And one of the biggest things I've ever learned from John Maxwell is the law of the lid. And so let me ask you a question. If you were to rate yourself or rank yourself from a level of 1 to 10, where do you feel you stand in terms of influence? Meaning that if you were to go and inspire or motivate other people to do something, how many people would actually do it because, hey, you told them to do it? So really think about that, right? Where do you stand at level 1 to 10? So example, that's why I like the numerology here, so we can really break this down. So let's say from a level 1 to 10, you're at a 5, okay? Just right down the middle. So that means if you're a 5 in terms of your level of influence on the law of the lid, the scale here, that means you could only influence or lead 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s. Now, cool, that's great, right? So here's what starts to happen. I'll tell you a personal story for me. When I was coming up in business, I didn't have the identity of an entrepreneur. I had a lot of low self-esteem. I didn't really believe in myself, but I wanted to be somebody, right? So I became an entrepreneur. And what happened was I started talking to people who I felt were easy for me to talk to. And typically, these were people in my line of work, financial services. I was talking to people who were broker than I was, right? And they started joining me, they started following me, but man, the work involved to get people to do something was just tremendous. Talk about frustration after frustration. And there were so many people in my team, in my organization, that were doing way better than me, that were having $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month type clients. And I'm sitting there helping clients save $50, $100 a month. And I was doing so much work, and I'm like, why is my business not growing like theirs is? And when I finally learned this concept, I realized why, because my lid was low. And the people that I was trying to inspire and lead and push, they had a lower lid than me. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to raise my lid. Well, how do you do that? And I'm going to cover that more here in a minute. But once you start to raise your lid, let's say you move from a 5 to a 6, a 7 to an 8, an 8 to a 9, a 9. Let's say you get to a 9. Well, now that you're level 9, now you can go out there and lead 8s and 7s and 6s, and these are higher identity people. So a big point to understand here is that your lid is very much tied to your identity, which means what you believe about yourself, how you see yourself, your confidence. And I started talking to people, prospects, clients that were doing way better than me as a business owner at that time. They were making 5 times more money than I was. And I had so much insecurity thinking, why would these people do business with me if they knew my struggles, my challenges, and I'm the one giving financial education? But I had to raise my lid, and I remember how much discomfort I felt. But I went into these uncomfortable situations, and I grew so much from that. And wouldn't you know it, I started attracting higher caliber, higher quality type clients and associations to my business. And my identity, I started to see my identity shift and grow. And so my point is that you can only take people to the level that you're at. Now, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to get this. You could be a leader of a family. You are a leader in some sort of aspect in your church, a sports team, Boy Scout group, whatever. My point is that you can only take people to the level that you're at. You can't take them higher than where you're at. So that's very important to understand if you're trying to get yourself to a higher place. And this might be a breakthrough for you if you're wondering, why do I continue to struggle in the same areas of my life? So this is really important to understand, okay? So now I'm going to break down the 3 things that you need to do in order for you to raise your lid, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and flip this around, so give me a second. So what I'm going to share with you now are the 3 things that you need to do in order for you to raise your lid. Now, there's many things, but these are 3 critical and important technique strategies that you can implement today and you'll start seeing massive results in a short amount of time. Obviously, number one is the people that you associate with, right? We always like to have a saying, who are the 5 people that you constantly hang around? They could be family members, friends, colleagues. You are a representation of that peer group, okay? So my point is that if you hang around with 4 broke, negative, victimized, complaining type people, chances are you're the 5th one. And if you want to raise your lid, you have to start hanging around people that are playing the game of life at a deeper level than you are. People that are going to challenge you. If you're the smartest person in your circle, it's probably time to find a new circle. And I highly recommend that you find a new peer group where you feel uncomfortable being around these people because maybe they're playing at a higher level and you're not there yet. But eventually, over time, you will grow into that space with that group of people and watch how your life's going to change. So your associations are critical. Start hanging around with people that are making $100,000 a year, you're going to get there inevitably, right? So on and so forth. Number 2 is books you read. I know a lot of people nowadays don't like to read. I was one of them. I didn't start reading again until I was 25. Absolutely transformed my life. So what are you reading right now? Now, if you're not into reading, I know people are into podcasts, YouTube videos, audiobooks, whatever it is, but you are totally responsible for feeding your mind. And if you don't consciously feed your mind, meaning you don't put time aside for it, then the world is going to feed you, and the world feeds you nothing but bullshit. And we all know that. Just turn on the TV, right? So you have to take responsibility for your own life and feed your mind the right things. And so leaders, people that are constantly trying to improve themselves, are very conscious of what they're feeding the 6 inches between their ears. And obviously, last but definitely not least, is the meetings that you regularly attend. Okay, so this could be part of a business group that you're part of, you go to church. These meetings that you regularly attend on a weekly basis, that peer group, those associations, that will feed off on you. And so what kind of groups are you around? What kind of networking do you do on a weekly basis? Who do you associate with? What kind of meetings do you regularly attend that influence you to become a better person? If you implement these 3 things, your leadership lid is going to grow. It's going to raise. So that is the law of the lid. I cannot overemphasize how valuable this principle is if you apply it to your life. And I gave you 3 things that you can apply right now, and in a short amount of time, you'll see the change. So thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe under Carlos Salgado. Make sure you go ahead and I'd love to comment with you. I want to engage with you. So comment, let me get some of your feedback, and feel free to share this. We'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.